Each year, there's a push to ban red light cameras in Colorado. This year, Denver is looking to expand its program and to lock it in place for another 5 years. If we're going to have red light cameras, Whitney Wild from our 9 Wants to Know team wondered why they aren't at least at the most dangerous intersections.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, the effect of red light cameras is questionable. Do they really make us safer, or do they just make money? A December paper points out that different studies draw different conclusions, so the CDC says it's premature to say they're a good thing. In Denver, City Council is deciding whether to sign a new contract for 5 more years of red light cameras and possibly expand the program. Denver Police Captain Mark Chuck likes that idea.
We're trying to just change behavior.
But are these the drivers that need to change? Denver Public Works data shows red light cameras are not at the sites with the most crashes. Of the 4 intersections with red light cameras, only 1, 8th Avenue and Spear Boulevard, is in the top 10. The other 3 intersections don't even crack the top 25.
We would agree with you that, and that's part of this new contract, is we would like to be able to use that technology where it is needed best.
We know that when they put up the cameras, these were not the 4 highest accident intersections at all, not by a long shot.
Denver City Councilman Kevin Flynn supports red light cameras in general, but won't vote yes until the city looks into making yellow light times longer.
20,000 to 30,000 people are getting $75 tickets that they don't need to be getting.
Chuck points out that tickets range from only $40 to $75, actually much lower than the $300 fine if a cop catches you.
Our purpose isn't to try to get a fine.
There's no doubt, though, that photo enforcement makes at least some money. So far this year, the city has taken in more than $500,000 in fines and more than $7 million since 2008. For Next, this is Whitney Wild.
We expect a decision from City Council by the end of the month. We'll keep you updated on that. Our next team woke up to emails this morning from viewers enrolled at ITT Tech. Viewers who were enrolled there. The for-profit college went belly up, suddenly closed campuses in 38 states today, including 2 in Colorado, Aurora and Westminster. Nationwide, we're talking 35,000 students and 8,000 employees. ITT Tech says it had to close because of sanctions from the U.S. government. The sanctions included a $152 million fund to refund students in just this very scenario. Students with credits that will transfer will still likely be responsible for their loans. Students who lose all those credit hours, they have the best shot at a refund. People trashed our state this Labor Day weekend, went to beautiful places and left them uglier. Our Steve Steger went to a national forest just outside the metro area where some of those bad humans couldn't be bothered to behave.
For years, we've heard people say we are loving our national forests and parks to death.
This is pretty typical. I mean, granted, we're coming off a holiday weekend.
I may be no expert at affairs of the heart, but this ain't love.
We spend, I can't tell you how much time going around picking up after people.
Scott Dallas is a ranger in the Pike National Forest, and he says this isn't just the leftovers of a holiday weekend. It looks like this every week near the Rampart Range recreation area. There are 8 bear-proof dumpsters up here, complete with trash where it's not supposed to be, stacked on top of them and on the ground next to them.
Designed to be bear resistant, and this is just the opposite. All we're doing is attracting bears. We've had to euthanize bears. We've had horror stories up here.
Dallas and his team clean as much as they can.
I could write a book of what we found out here being dumped.
But he says it just keeps getting worse.
I keep telling all my crews not to take it personal, but it's hard not to.
Hard not to.
We've spent a lot of money and effort to provide perfectly good outhouses less than a half a mile away, yet they built their own.
The Rangers believe a squatter used this campsite last, even left a bag of juicy trash behind.
God knows what that is.
And that wasn't even the worst part.
What appears to be fishing line is strung across this trail, which is quite disturbing.
Why would someone do that?
Obviously, to do harm to somebody.
Who treats our parks like this? Not 95% of the people, says Ranger Dallas. They're the good ones. But
you always have that 5% that doesn't care or doesn't know.
We love our wildlife, Colorado, but if this is the way we show our love, we're going to be single a lot sooner than we think. For Next, I'm Steve Steger.
The Forest Service says the answer might be fewer dumpsters, not more. So the dumpsters, that forest will be pulled out Thursday. So everyone who brings something in is expected to bring it out. Hey, don't look now, but Donald Trump might make a race of it in Colorado. And it looks like some of that is thanks in no small part to Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson. Most recently, the Real Clear Politics average in Colorado had Clinton with an 11-point lead in various polls. But a new Washington Post SurveyMonkey poll, a single poll, put Clinton's lead in Colorado at just 2 points. And that's in a two-way race. Of course, it's not a two-way race. There are other candidates. That same poll found that Johnson, the Libertarian nominee, is pulling 16% in Colorado. The Green Party's Jill Stein at 6%. And just like that, boom, Clinton's lead in Colorado disappears. Tough day at the polls for Clinton. Even tougher day for Colorado Care, the universal health care ballot measure. A poll out today shows it getting smoked. Magellan Strategies, which largely does work for Republicans and conservative causes, released a poll today indicating that only about a quarter of all Coloradans support Amendment 69. It's paltry support among Republicans. 7% is no surprise. But elected Democrats are opposing it, and so is the Democratic base. Only 40% of the Democrats polled said they would vote for Colorado Care. One last election note. We've been hearing from Next viewers wanting to know the difference between a bond and a mill levy. There are school districts asking for both of them this year. So, mill levies are a property tax, and bonds are offered to outside investors. School districts keep asking voters for permission because they have to ask. Districts can't raise property taxes or get outside money without voter approval. Bonds and levy money are also spent differently. Bonds are used to fund infrastructure, building new schools, renovating buildings, or buying buildings and turning them into schools. The money from mill levies can directly pay for things inside the classroom. The question posed to voters in Denver would raise about $628 million total, $572 million in bonds for fixing up school buildings, and $56 million or so in increased property taxes to put money into classrooms. That biker shutdown of I-25 over the summer was supposed to raise awareness of motorcycle safety. It mainly just made people mad, and it sent police on a hunt for the riders who caused a real safety issue by shutting down the interstate near University. Now we can tell you 2 men from Colorado Springs have been arrested, along with another one from Pueblo. More arrests and more seizures of bikes are expected. People are just now coming around to being outraged about CDOT's long-ago decision to increase the passenger requirement for HOV lanes on I-25 and US 36. The change from 2 people in a car to 3 was announced months ago, but it's just kind of blowing up on the interwebs now. So, you have until January to make a new friend to take with you in the HOV lane or pay CDOT more money. And CDOT acknowledges that increasing the HOV requirements will result in more people paying tolls, and that's the point, to better fund road projects. The Broncos will arrive at the stadium on Thursday. Headphones on, music of their choice blasting. Then they'll take the field for warm-ups. Stadium speakers on, music of their choice blasting. The Broncos have their own in-stadium DJ. DJ Betts plays all the pregame music for the team, and players sent over their requests this morning. Don't know how it happened, but it's pretty much song for song exactly what I'm listening to these days. Linebacker DeMarcus Ware wants to hear We Got the Keys by DJ Khaled and Jay-Z. Emmanuel Sanders wants DJ Betts to play What You Mean by Day Day. Von Miller asked for some Ace Hood. CJ Anderson picked Why You Hatin' by YG. And Brandon Marshall went with the factually accurate selection, Champions by Kanye. This will come as a complete shock, but I'm actually more of a country guy. Peyton Manning's playlist was more my speed. The Broncos' new starting quarterback, Trevor Siemian, has not yet turned in requests to the DJ. Who knows? Maybe he's into thrash metal. Just don't know. Next is going on hiatus. Kind of a hiatus. I just like saying hiatus. Here's the deal. We won't be on tomorrow or Thursday. Tomorrow is the Commander-in-Chief Forum, 6 p.m. on 9 News. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump taking questions from NBC News on national security, military affairs, and veterans issues. And then Thursday, of course, is the NFL season opener. Broncos, Panthers, 6:30 here on 9 News. Next, we'll return following those epic face-offs on Friday. Kyle Dyer knows what some of you think when you hear her name. Not her decades of anchoring Colorado's favorite morning news program. Nope, just that one moment when something terrible happened.
I think in many ways that kind of changed things for me.
As she leaves 9 News, we look back and forward to what's next for her. Another round of college freshmen are coming to school, and for once, we're giving credit where credit is due. And someone watching Breckenridge's annual duck race had an excellent question. What do they do with 16,000 rubber duckies every other day of the year?
It took all day. Finally, the sun and a decent warm up now that the front is pushed south of the city. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. It took all day to get to 84 degrees. It was cloudy, foggy, and cool today. And now there are a couple of thunderstorms that are starting to pop up on the radar. They're tracking from the southwest to the northeast. Non-severe storms around the city, but they're close. So we'll keep an eye on those for you through the dinner hour. Down south, the storms are producing hail, severe thunderstorm warnings, and heavy rain around La Junta and Lamar. Storms tracking into a flash flood zone outside of Wichita. And a lot of moisture coming our way from Hurricane Newton. Yep, all that moisture coming in, and those slow-moving thunderstorms mean the flood threat will increase over southern Colorado tomorrow. Around here tonight, just isolated showers expected. There'll be some clearing later on, then that darn fog will redevelop for those of you that head out early tomorrow morning. I think tomorrow will be a warmer, drier day. Low to mid-80s up and down the Front Range with a mix of clouds and sunshine, getting us into a beautiful Thursday. Those Broncos will be taking the field right about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I think temperature will be close to 80 degrees. Should be a wonderful game time forecast, dry and mild, hopefully a winning forecast. Leaves are changing in the high country, and hang in there. It's Tuesday, and you have a short week ahead of you.
We're saying goodbye to a friend. Kyle Dyer leaves 9 News after 20 years. She's off on a new adventure.
I am going to start my own business, a storytelling business, and working with individuals, companies, non and for-profit foundations, and getting the word out about their programs that are making a positive impact and the why, and be able to tell people why they should care about these programs and show them the difference they're making in our community.
You've always gravitated toward positive stories, uplifting stories. Explain the difference between a positive story and a fluff story.
Okay, so a fluff story is fun to watch, right? Their feature stories are fun. I think the positive stories show what people are doing. You show the positive difference people are making. And hopefully through my stories, I've engaged an audience and said, wow, I didn't know that. And maybe kind of advocated for the cause. You know, maybe someone will be like, share the word about it. Or, you know, maybe it'll inspire somebody to do something good in their own lives.
So some journalists see advocacy as a dirty word. I don't, and you don't either.
No. Isn't that what we're all here for? To support one another? Outreach, advocacy. If we can inspire somebody to get involved in their community, to help build it and make it a better place, I see nothing wrong with that.
Over the years, you have told a lot of stories of people who refuse to be defined by one single bad thing that happened to them.
Yes.
And that's your story too.
It sure is. You know, with the bad things that happen, there's always good that comes out of it. Yeah, I was bit and I became the social media person. Everyone saw me get bit by a dog on live TV. But I think in many ways that kind of changed things for me. And that made me stop and really reflect and pray and see what's really important in my life. And that's kind of helped me decide that I needed to leave the morning show to be more present for my family. There's so many people that go through a lot of stuff, and it doesn't keep them down.
Let's talk about the morning of the Aurora Theater shooting. You were here alone for hours.
Right.
For hours and hours.
It was very surreal. Because of the middle of the night factor too, it just didn't seem like it was really happening.
I'm glad that you were here. I came in later that morning, we spent some time together, but I'm glad that you were here because I think the people who had woken up with you for 15, 20 years in Denver needed to see you on that morning. I think that was important to people.
Well, I'm glad I was here.
All right, let's finish with something that's more fun. So that was one of the 2 days that we have worked directly together on the anchor
Doesn't
desk.
happen much.
In the 9 years that we've both been here together since I got here, we've worked together twice on the morning show. And the other morning, you would think that somebody ahead of time would have figured out that both anchors are named Kyle and that as our stories go into the teleprompter, that might create some confusion.
Right, who reads the story that says Kyle at the top? And then they tried Kyle C, Kyle D.
Which did not help at all. So like each hour it started out Kyle and Kyle, then it became Kyle C and Kyle D. And then I think we eventually by the end of the morning got to Kyle and Clark, which was great for you, but still not a fantastic system for me.
Well, thank you for having me here on Next to talk about my next.
Well, thank you. This is a place where we appreciate good stories and the people who tell them and the people who are willing to share them. So for that, we have always admired your work.
Oh, thanks, Kyle.
Parents of college freshmen are crying. Tears of joy. They're out. They're finally out.
I think the kids are going to miss the dog more than they miss mom and dad.
Oh, definitely.
And the city of Denver is looking for volunteers to operate the Goosenator. DU students moved into their dorms today. These move-in day stories on TV usually focus on the students, their goals, their dreams. Photojournalist Mike Grady turned his lens in the other direction. Now that those kids are out of the house, what do their parents have planned for life?
It's a bittersweet day today.
So this is move-in day.
We're moving her in, freshman year, DU.
Yeah, when you're a kid, I think it's like your parents are just there to pick you up and take you places. You don't really think that they're actual people too.
You know, what are you going to do to be an empty nester? What are you guys, what are you and your husband going to do? And I said, well, we're going to discover new things to talk about.
I don't know how I'm going to fill my time up. I'm so used to doing so much for them.
No, I think they're going to be throwing ragers every night.
They'll definitely have to cook a lot less food.
Your whole life seriously centers around kids, 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 kids. And then when they go away, it's a whole new chapter.
I think she's just gonna get really bored. And she'll start talking to herself more, and she'll start talking to the dog more, and she makes up songs. She'll start doing that more. She whistles a lot. It's all just gonna increase.
Thank you.
I don't know how much he's gonna need us, but it's always nice to know somebody's there.
I'm always going to miss my baby, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, use your best judgment when you're at home. Don't get too crazy. Don't get too crazy.
No, I'll be good. I promise I'll be good.
Next question. Where do they keep those thousands of rubber ducks used in the Breckenridge duck race for the rest of the year? Gotta admit, Betty Horkovich, we'd never thought about that, but it is a great question. The Summit Foundation, the nonprofit that puts on the annual duck race, says that the ducks, all 16,000 of them, are kept at a warehouse somewhere in the Breckenridge area. They won't say exactly where because they don't want somebody stealing $60,000 worth of rubber ducks. You can imagine how that might work. Dozens of volunteers meticulously put them away, 125 ducks to a bin. It's after the race each Labor Day weekend. That race has raised more than $100,000 for the Summit Foundation. And Betsy, you raised an excellent question. If you're among those who view geese as flying vermin coating our beautiful city with dollops of dew, Denver Parks and Rec wants to sign you up to operate the Goosenator. The Goosenator is a remote-controlled boat that completely freaks out the geese. It does the job in lieu of natural predators. So the city wants to sign up volunteers to go out and goosenate 6 hours a month. They'll train you, give you information as well on the Migratory Bird Act. There's a joke in there about running afoul of the law, but we don't make bad jokes on this show. You can find information on the Goosenator volunteer opportunity on the next Facebook page. We're back with your feedback from the last half hour and a sign that made us go, It's a sign, but I'm not sure if I understand the point. Ken Wills spotted it up at Evergreen Lake. Yeah, I guess you should keep the gate closed. I mean, it is locked. Don't get it. This could be some kind of existential statement. I don't understand the reference. Maybe it's just really deep and I don't get it. Hey, listen, a lot of wonderful messages tonight. I'm glad that things were useful. Leah Banford says, thanks for the piece on bonds versus mill levies. Super informative. Robin Goodfellow, thanks for the report about Kyle Dyer. Brought tears to my eyes. She is one of a kind and we will miss her. And Janice Daly writes, some nights are better than others, but you usually have some interesting stuff at some point. So Janice, you're saying there's a chance you watch next time?